All right, so welcome to another episode of Sudden Change Pod. It's your boy Beans. We got JA here. How you feeling today?
Good, man. Birthday yesterday, so feeling good.
Happy belated birthday. We posted it on the
Appreciate it.
page.
Should have put them views up, man. Should have put them 10K plus views.
True, I should have. Definitely gotta get some more videos up. Definitely can't wait for that lemonade. That should be the next big hitter.
Definitely.
Um, but yeah, it's been a while. Before we get into football stuff, I want to ask you a non-football related question.
Okay.
Um, so my team, my NBA team, just completely dismantled. Was that now seeing that AD's gone, Reed is injured, was that like the worst trade we've ever seen?
It's gonna go down as that. Just like everything went the wrong way. Like I see what he thought of like getting AD with Kyrie, and then you didn't plan for AD to get hurt in his first game, which we talked about in the chat.
We
Like
knew it was
you,
possible. You know it's
yeah,
possible.
like I felt so crazy after it happened. Like the first game he played, I'm like, bro, this is not what we needed. Like for a narrative purpose. And then Kyrie tearing his Achilles, I mean his ACL. Like it's like the worst possible outcome that could have happened for Nico. And I feel for y'all because like if there was ever going to be a chance to you getting over that, it was off tangent off of AD and Kyrie leading you guys, which
Yeah,
AD came out and looked good, in his first
very good.
two like. So I mean that it takes like the morale, like you know what I mean. Like I don't know where you go from there because Kyrie's going to be out majority of probably next season too, just recovering. So
Bad, man.
yeah,
Bad.
yeah.
But I
And then
think,
seeing Luca and them like all of a sudden be the two seed and they're playing well, like
what did you expect? Right?
sometimes sometimes you got to put your personal grudges aside. Like you can't. I feel for you because yeah, like I know you didn't want to see Luca traded, especially to the Lakers. Like if you was going to
Right.
send him to the East. Like like if you want to send him to the East, you want to go to wherever. Even if you want to go to Boston, whatever you want to go there, whatever. You ain't got to go through him to get to the finals. Like Luca's gonna make y'all feel it every time you see y'all. Yeah, it'll go down as
It's a
one of the
bad
worst.
spot. This
Yeah,
yeah. What are you gonna do though? But yeah, the chat was giving me flack for not liking it, but
because
I want to
it
say it's
was just
inevitable, but
yeah. Like you just hope like the injury history like is just behind some guys, but like to get hurt in your first game, like me and Los had nothing to say. I was like, bro, this is what I always talk about. I was like, dude, give it a week or something. Like, yo, like, cause he dropped like
game one, he was
20
he
in
was
the
on
first.
fire. Yeah, he looked good, but you knew it was coming. Like eventually, it was coming. So, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that. And then the other thing before we get into actual football stuff, this is probably gonna be the final episode of technically season one of the pod. Looking back on the first season, looking back on the first year of the pod, like, do you feel like you made the right decision to make the switch and go on your own and do these things? Like, what's your overall thoughts on year one of everything?
Definitely, I feel like it was definitely the right move. Just hearing the feedback from the guys in the league, just the rookie thing, I just feel like just took them, you
Yeah,
know, just took things off, and like now it's like more intriguing. I just think, with everything, just trying to be on top of everything, and then making sure like they're notified, and I'm giving them the information that they need. So like no one's like blindsided by anything. Not saying that it's ever happened, just making sure I'm being fair for everyone and it's not just for myself or you or it's just, I'm looking at it as just all 10 of us and making sure everybody has the same, speech and, freedom of, having a decision of whatever we do or whatever we decide. And some things we just gonna, do on our own, but just keeping them involved in everything. I think it went smooth as you can ask for first year. It's gonna be guys that like Jay Green that always got something to say about something. Like the whole IR spot. Like oh he's like no like we're not doing the IR spot if he's not on IR. So
yeah.
other than that, I think once we figure out the trade situation, I think honestly we got a good thing going right now. So I'm definitely proud of how year one went, and we got to build on year two now. I just feel like now we got to come back with I think how we did the draft last year was like that was crazy. Like the whole lottery, like I didn't think it would take off like that. So,
Yeah.
just keeping that same intensity, that same hype we had, and then just building off of it. I think it's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, I think it was a very good year one. Was being commissioner more difficult than you expected, or was it about what you thought?
No, like I expected, like it would be the random questions, or honestly, what got me is when y'all was trying to do a three-team trade in the middle of my high school game. Like that was probably the wildest. Like my guys are warming up, and I'm like, yo, check. What are you sending, bro? Like that was probably the best moment of it, though. Like I was like, damn, I'm really in charge, and I was like, yo, and I think you were in the trade, so I couldn't send it to you
Yeah,
to do it. So I'm like, bro, this has to happen with me, and I think that was the
that's
deadline. Like I
yeah,
think
it
it
was right
was.
there. Yeah, that's all we had
I'm
to
like,
do was
yo,
scrambling.
I got a Thursday game, and these dudes trying to pull off a trade like before the Thursday night game. I'm like, that was definitely the moment where I was like, yeah, we running this league right now, but that was
Yeah,
crazy.
for sure. Yeah, it was a good time. A lot of good moments. So it's been a while since we have done an episode. We haven't got a chance to talk about the 2025 or 2024 season awards. So I just want to get your thoughts. MVP, Josh Allen. Everybody knows between him and Lamar going in. What did you think about them ultimately giving it to him?
It should have been Lamar's award.
Mm,
If you switch numbers, if you give Lamar Josh Allen's numbers and Josh Allen Lamar's numbers, it's landslide going to him. So I think it might be, MVP fatigue, voter fatigue. Like he just won it last year, so I get it. But Lamar's numbers were too great, and then the head-to-head game, like they dominated. I
yeah,
just, it seems like they want Josh Allen to be that guy. Like like they're waiting for him to take that leap. But I don't know how you not give that to Lamar, especially like his, touchdown to interception ratio was ridiculous. Like it was off the charts. Um, that's what literally won cheese the league. Like Lamar just took over.
yeah.
He went to a different dimension, and that was the difference makers for a lot of people's teams because no one quarterback was playing at that type of level at that moment. So I get why Lamar didn't get it. I could just see, he won it last year, so whatever. I mean, Josh had a great year, unexpected. No one expected him to be that well. So, leading them into what top two, three seed. I forget what they were.
Yeah.
When they were three, I think. Yeah, because Baltimore was there. So, having one of the top records, I get it, but I definitely would have gave it to Lamar.
So how much do you think the team around them played into it? Because I don't think anybody will argue that Lamar has a much better team around him. You got Derrick Henry, you got your Mark Andrews, you got Zay, Bateman, those guys. Going into the season, we didn't think the Bills were going to be good at all because of them losing their top two receivers. So how much does that play into it?
It would have to. I would think so. I think they looked at that as well, like losing Diggs and losing Gabe Davis, and you get a rookie and Keon Coleman stepping up, and
Yeah,
then Khalil Shakir coming out of nowhere. You get better
played
play
well.
from James Cook. So I'm pretty sure that played a role into it. But like Lamar's wide receivers outside of Zay aren't that good. Like he's still throwing touchdowns to Nelson Aguilar. Like what's the tight end? Likely he kind of like
Took off.
he kind of burst on the scene. Yeah, he kind of finally stepped up. So, outside of Lamar and Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, you're not really worried about too many people over there. So, Bateman getting the occasional, couple bombs here and there. Andrews getting involved. Um, it's not like a juggernaut. You know what I mean? So, in a passing game. So, to throw for those numbers, without the turnovers is, you got to give him credit. But like I said, voter fatigue for him probably.
Yeah, I definitely get that. What about Saquon? So we know that MVP is a quarterback award. How how much in the conversation should he have been? Because he had a historic season from like at least in our generation.
You know what, man? He should have been right there in the mixing. Like, as much as running backs get flack for their shelf life and, not being as productive after a while, 2,000 yards in any season is ridiculous. And I just feel like they just overlook it with the passing yards.
Yeah,
Quarterback over 500, and it's like, man, he's got to be an MVP. You know what I mean? Like, Joe Burrow was like on the outside of playoffs looking in, and they wanted to, name him, an MVP. Like, it's crazy. So
yeah,
they don't get a lot of respect, and the season Saquon had is literally what propelled them to being like Super Bowl contenders and ended up winning it. Like that just puts them over the top, and that gets overlooked a lot.
Agreed. Yeah, he had a one of the best seasons that I've ever seen. But it does kind of stink that you just know it's always going to be a quarterback. And I get it;
But
they have the most, they got to do
it's not even
everything.
giving
But
him a chance though. It's
yeah,
like
you don't
at
have a
least
chance.
like that should not just be an opioid, offensive player of the year award. Like that literally has to be an MVP type. Like there's no other way. Because you're saying now, if someone gets 2,000 yards next year, that's still not good enough for MVP. Like you'll just still be offensive player of the year award. Like it sucks what it became, but that's like how they do it with the Heisman. Like you can still run for 2,000 yards in college, but it's ultimately a quarterback and the best team player award, which sucks.
Yeah. So what about coach of the year? Minnesota's coach, I forget the name off the top of my head. He
Oh,
won
Kevin
it.
O'Connell.
O'Connell won it, and justifiably so. But I think there's other. We didn't expect Buffalo to do what they did. We didn't expect Washington to do what they did. They really surprised us. Do you think he should have won the award or should have went somewhere else?
It's hard to say because after losing Kirk Cousins, no one even knew who they're and JJ McCarthy going off it. No one knew
Fair.
really where their season would be going. So to muster about what like 14 wins out of that team, like what was it
Yeah,
about?
14-3.
And they were on a great winning streak at one point. Like they were playing some of the best ball, at that time with the Lions and you guys as well. The division was like a battle pretty much week in and week out. It's hard not to not give it to them, like because I see why the other options would be, higher for others, but like they thought JJ was probably going to route out there. Like they didn't think
Yeah.
Sam Darnold could like get it done.
Yeah,
So
it's fair.
Dan Quinn probably definitely deserves some credit. Definitely, going from 5-win team to the NFC Championship is outstanding. A lot of other guys, even like it was like Dan Campbell, like he
Yeah.
coached well, like. You went 15-2, you know what I mean? Like you probably pretty much led the NFC from week one throughout. So um it's always a tough award because a lot of guys, are deserving, but I'm not mad with him getting it though. They play well enough for him to get the award.
Yeah, I think it's definitely reasonable. Just thought there was other teams that definitely should have been in consideration, but I'm not really mad at it. We also haven't had a chance to talk about the Super Bowl. Going into the game, what were your expectations versus the blowout that it turned into?
My expectations were I thought it would be 2 weeks off. I always give Spags like I give him the nod. It's like because he has 2 weeks to game plan and one of the best defensive coordinators, especially come playoff time.
Yeah,
Um, Wow, for them to shut down, the Chiefs that haven't played well probably in the last 2 years, like a
facts.
consistent game, first quarter through four, 1 through 4. Shocking, but not surprised that it was that. They were due for one of those games because they've been lucky pretty much all season. Like they escaped a lot of 1 point wins and last second wins. So I didn't think the Eagles would dominate both sides of the ball like that though. That was definitely the head scratcher, especially with 2 weeks to game plan. But they play well all year too. I think they only lost about 3 games this year, so and I think their last loss was to the Commanders after Hurts got hurt. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
after that, they pretty much just kept flying. So shocking though. I didn't think the Eagles had that because they start slow. They're one of the worst first quarter scoring teams in the NFL. So I thought that was probably be a chance for the Chiefs to try to hop on them, but yeah, definitely surprising, especially going for a three-peat.
Yeah, I would have never predicted that. Me and Shaq were talking about it like, yeah, the Chiefs haven't played well, but one way or another, Pat usually finds a way to make it happen. But that
Make it
defense was,
close.
yeah,
Like
that defense
just
was just relentless. Like there was nothing that he could do. Um, as far as like legacy, when you really start to think about the Super Bowls that he's played in, the two times he played against really good defenses, they lost, and he didn't look great. Tampa and now this year. So what do you think that does us in terms of like how we perceive him as a whole?
not much because I mean you can't win them all. Even the ones Brady played in, like he didn't look great in all of them. Like he played the Eagles. They beat him. That defense wasn't the greatest at the time, but they were able to get after him.
True.
The Giants twice, like so like everyone. This is just the the era we're in with social media and losing, like they hold you more accountable now for, oh well, you lost to that team instead of that team. Like the Niners had a great pass rush as well. He beat them twice, so
Fair.
they. But they get tired of the Chiefs. Chiefs is not on everyone's fit. It was different, when they was like lighting the league up and scoring at will. Like it was just like, yo, now it's just like, you start throwing the refs involved and everything. So people get
Fair.
tired. Once you start winning, people get tired of you. So if they lose, he's always going to be under scrutiny, or he's not the GOAT because they don't want him to be in that. Now everyone loves Brady, but before, when Brady was playing, they were sick of Brady too. So
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
they get tired. So, but I don't think it does much. Going for a three-peat, like no one's ever done it. So I kind of feel like you're playing with house money. Like you,
Mhm.
you win it, like that cements you. You lose it, like no
True.
one has ever done it either. So yeah, I'm not going to hold too much. But if that happens, then you get blown out again. Now you start questioning, like, yeah, well, what's going on? And that'd be three blowout Super Bowl losses if it came to that. But I'm not holding too much against them.
Yeah, I definitely get that. In terms of the Eagles and something else we were talking about, are they primed to like is this like could this be the beginning of a dynasty? Because of course they're gonna lose some of their guys because you can't pay everybody, but they got at every level, they have very good players. That defense is young. They just got two corners that are gonna be cornerstones for, at least 4 or 5 years. The offense, Smitty, AJ, Quan, Jalen, like,
They'll
are they
they'll probably
primed to
throw
be a
another
dynasty?
young. They'll probably throw another young boy in there. Like
Yeah.
um,
Is it kind of theirs to lose moving forward?
um, NFC is just a wild card though. Like I just feel like it could be. At the same time, like Washington's on the way. Like in that
True.
division, like with the cap space, and then you don't know what's gonna happen with San Fran. Like if they're gonna get back. Even though they traded Deebo, like
Yeah.
but teams are getting better. Like Lions are gonna still be there. Like Packers have been there. Like like you guys know how to win when it's late in the season. Rams keep Stafford, so we don't know the retooling. Like NFC is it's not as locked down as we think because like at the end of the day, people still don't believe in Hurts, whether he did that or not. Like great for Jalen Hurts, but like they're still not gonna. They're gonna think that's the weak link for them to win the Super Bowl anyway. Like they'll
Yeah.
think it's Jalen Hurts. So they're prime though. Like they got young talent everywhere. D line, the DBs, linebackers. Um, and they just re-signed, gave Saquon an extension. They're
Yeah.
primed for it. I just don't know if the NFC. It's a gauntlet, Like we just don't know. And the division will always be tough, always. Like I feel like that division gives them their best games too. NFC East is always a toss-up. They've been playing well, but like Washington gave them like two of their toughest games this year, minus the NFC Championship game. But like they played them well. Dallas, we'll see what happens with them. But yeah, it's tough. But if I had to say, they could definitely. I'm not gonna not say they can't. I think it's closer to them doing it more than they can't.
Yeah. No, that's a good point about the NFC being a gauntlet. And I think the Chiefs game was a bit of an anomaly. You put them on the same field again, it's probably not going to be that same exact outcome. They probably win, but the games they played to get to the Super Bowl were tougher than the Super Bowl. The Packers, we played them pretty close. I mean, if that opening kickoff goes a different way, you never know how that game looks and
If
the
you, if you knock
injuries.
in a couple, if you knock in a couple, drives that you were in scoring range, like
Yeah,
that's a
it's a different
totally
game.
different game. Yeah,
Yeah, and then Washington played them well, so I definitely understand the
and the Rams
NFC.
had them. The Rams had a
Yeah, and the
chance.
Rams. If it's not that weather, I think the Rams probably can pull that off. So yeah, it's the NFC definitely is a gauntlet. Speaking of Washington, they just picked up Deebo. Offensively, we knew they needed a number two behind Terry. Do you think that kind of takes them to the next level offensively, or do they need a lot more still?
Um, it could take him to because Debo's a playmaker, so he's gonna get a lot of hack for route running. But Debo is a Swiss Army knife, so he can play running back. He can take carries from the slot. He can play outside. I don't think he was in the best shape of his life his last year in San Fran. That
Fair.
also probably played a factor. He had a lot of injuries too. He has a little injury history as well.
Hmm.
But one thing people could do is find an end zone. And honestly, with a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, you ain't got to do too much. Like
Yeah.
You honestly, he could run it himself. You know, he's very accurate as a passer. Um, that's scary. You know, that's definitely because now Terry can do his thing. You can't just double Terry like that. So now you put Deebo on there. I still think they could upgrade a little bit more talent, like a bigger wide receiver,
Mhm.
where you could put Deebo on the slot or something, and then have a bigger wide receiver on the outside. But they got tons of cap space, so they ain't done. I don't think so. They'll retool, but I like the move. Just because he's a playmaker. Like one thing he could do, he's going to show up in big games. When he's available. So I like it for him.
Yeah, and on the other side of things, San Francisco, they trade Debo. There was talks of Ayuk maybe moving at some point. I don't probably not now, I guess, since they already got rid of Debo. But what do we expect from them next year? Are they still going to be contenders depending on what the moves? They got some young wide receivers. Pearsall, Jennings is decent.
Mhm.
If C-Mac stays healthy, are they still in that top echelon of the NFC?
That's tough. I just got to see what the offense will be looking like. Especially with guys healthy. Ayuk tore his ACL, so we don't know what that may look like. One thing they know how to do though is draft. They draft very well. They know how to plug guys in and maximize their talent, whether it's early guys or late draft finds or undrafted free agents. That's one thing they've hung their hat on is you know, if they got to replace guys, they can fill spots in. So um, I think that window of them being the superior of the NFC is closed a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, Especially when you lose a talent like that, and then like we said, Ayuk being injured. But I wouldn't count them out because Kyle Shanahan is a good coach. He knows how to get. He just can't win it all, but he knows how to get it done when they're healthy. So
Yeah.
I just don't think they're the cream of the crop right now in the NFC anymore.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Another trade, a possible trade. I don't even know if it's still an option anymore. But we saw the other day the Packers had something in place, the offer on a table for DK, and it looks like they would have to give up one of our young wide receivers, and more than
Give them
likely a
all of
first
them.
round pick. Do you think that would be a good trade on our end? Um, I of
Yes.
course don't want to give up a first, but also like the way we draft we don't really do much with our first anyway, so it's like it is what it is. But you think DK would be that difference maker we need?
A different prototype receiver. You guys do not have that physical like body type on your team. Like
True.
everyone looks like Wicks, Dobbs, Jalen Reed. Like they all look alike. Like only
Yeah.
one that's different is the one that's hurt. Like Watson. That's the only one that's built differently, which he shows when he's healthy. He can terrorize any defense when he's healthy.
Mhm.
So you put DK out there with a quarterback like Jordan, he doesn't have to force many of those things. Like those are literally goal balls that DK can catch. I think that brings another dimension to the offense. Now you bring back Jacobs, like you don't have to lean on Jacobs so much. You know what I mean to do
Yeah.
everything, whether it's in the pass game and the run game. Like DK is going to command a lot of attention. So those guys in the middle, the Reeds and all those guys in the Wicks, if whoever doesn't go out of the three, they can eat in their natural position instead of trying to play something that they're not. So I think DK makes a lot of sense for y'all because y'all not have had a receivers, since Tay at that, that's you know what I mean. So trying to get by with a bunch of wide receiver twos and wide receiver threes is cool until you really got to make a play on the outside and you can't. So I would love it for y'all. I would hate to give up a one, but like I get why. Like
Yeah. It's fair.
if as long as it pans out, as long as he pans out, that one you can keep it. Like you said, you probably gonna get a lineman anyway. So like, go get him in the third, bro. You're gonna get a lineman for the next 6 years that was from the Big Ten that got a farm already, and all he eats is vegan, and so I mean, plant-based food. So man, listen, give that one up. Y'all don't know what to do with it anyway. You probably trade back anyway. So
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
nah, man.
What was I about to say? Completely hypothetical. I know it's not within the realm of possibility, but a guy that people were talking about trading or moving on from was T. Higgins. If you were the Packers, who would you rather have on your team as your one? DK or a T. Higgins type?
I'll take DK because he's been the number one. Um, T's got his injury history.
Also true.
We both had T, and we know how his game time decisions could be.
Facts. Yeah.
Um, I think DK more of the physical wide receiver one that you would want. T is a very good player, but T has not ever seen a wide receiver one role right now. So demanding all the focus, I don't know how that would go. It may go well, but I want to go with what I know, and I think I'll go with DK.
Yeah. I feel like didn't Chase go down one of these seasons for extended time and T was the guy for a while? Or am I forgetting?
You, it could be, but they both it's like when one's out, the other's in, the other's in. What like
Yeah.
it's they're rarely together for every game like that. So
Yeah.
T missed a few this
Yeah.
year, but I think I'll go with DK for y'all.
No, I think that's fair. Before we get to combine, which is where we can end, there was a question I asked Shaq last time. I want to get your thoughts on it. We were talking about the Eagles, the makeup of that team, and he was saying that we haven't seen Devontae reach his prime yet. He's not there yet. And I asked him, do we ever get to see him in his prime with the lineup that they have right now? You got AJ on the other side, which is kind of like a Chase and Higgins type of situation. Can he ever fully blossom with all the other talent around him?
He won't. We'll never see. We'll never see. As long as he's an Eagle, we'll never see that
Mm,
with those guys there. It's a lot. Like because Hurts handles the ball a lot, so
right,
a lot of those runs may go to him. And then they spread the ball around, so you won't see he had 11 targets and 9 for 158. You know what I mean? But he can do it. We just won't see it on a consistent level because
right.
they're loaded. So you got to
Facts.
share the ball when you're loaded like that and keep everybody keep people happy. So um, he's a great number two, but we just won't see him take off like how we. It could be special if he was the lead guy, but also you don't want him to be the lead guy. Like he's very small. Like I
Yeah,
wouldn't want to see him in that role because like that that wouldn't be good for their team. So
yeah.
how they
Understood.
use him sporadically, and then when you need a big play, he's gonna make it. So keep him
Right.
fresh, and then he's good. But let AJ take all the brunt and beating of that, and then keep him for because that's what his body is built for. It though, like
Yeah.
Smitty can't. You hit Smitty on a couple slants, hey, get you know what I mean. So no, we probably won't, and that's okay because he relishes in his role with that team. So
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think we'll ever see it. But in that situation, I really ever need to see it.
nope.
Quickly moving to combine, I want to get your thoughts on just players that are rising and falling after this. But first, we're hearing a lot of talk about like Shador, his interviews, like coaches not being as high on him anymore, him having like kind of a nonchalant attitude. How much do we think he falls, if any, in the draft from where he originally was projected at?
Um, you know what? A lot can go into that because Dion also said he ain't just going to any team anyway. So
True.
throwing that out there with teams not feeling his, you know, arrogant, I guess, style of, whatever. I have no problem with it. Like, if you ain't going big yourself, then like who is like, he's
True.
respectful about it, but like he also know he's confident. And if you're not confident in your game, then I don't know what type of coach. Like you said, man, if you ain't trying to change the culture, then I ain't the guy you need to be taking. So I got no problem with Shador. I mean, his line wasn't like I watch a lot of college football, and Colorado's line is probably one of the I wouldn't say below average, but it's probably one of the average lines around college football for 5-star players that they bring in. So
Hmm.
a lot of that stuff is like contingent on his protection, and they're overlooking that because of how he plays and But Shador's a baller, one of the most accurate in college. That's a team's miss. Some like we talked about with the Mavs GM, like getting in front of yourself with having feelings about a player, and I feel this is how you end up on the wrong side of history. So you got to be careful how you evaluate talent. And you just not going
Yeah.
by what he's saying, but like the player himself. No
Yeah.
character issues. He doesn't get in trouble. Like he's Dion's son. Like like what do you
He's
expect?
gonna be there. Yeah.
Like come on now. If he's not going to be a little a little swagger to him, then like why would you even want like nah? I want my quarterback like talk that talk. You also
Yeah,
got to back it up, but like he's going the right way about it, so I'm not too worried about him.
yeah, and that's a good point about kind of GMs maybe getting ahead of themselves. We kind of saw the same thing with uh Lamar, and not because of like the cockiness or anything, but they were saying, is he going to translate as a quarterback? Are we going to have to move him to like a different position? And then he fell so far, but now he's the MVP. So it's the same thing.
They don't say this about no other type of quarterbacks though. It's always those quarterback you do like.
Yeah,
It's never
yeah,
like you never thought about Josh Allen runs around too and throws the ball. You never thought about him going to play wide receiver, but
yeah.
Lamar got to go play. Like, come on now. Like,
Yeah.
I,
We
I,
know
I
it.
hate how they
Yeah,
do it. It's just and they try to hide it behind that. Well, like, come on now. Like he throwing the ball his whole life. Now you want him to go play wide receiver? Stop
yeah.
that, man.
We know what it is. Yeah, unfortunately. Um, Lastly, give me some guys that you think have really improved their stock based on how they performed at the combine, and some guys that maybe didn't perform as well.
I'm gonna start with like risers. Definitely Shamar Stewart. He get a lot of lack for not having the production in college, but he had a great 40. He probably solidified himself in the top 10. I think he was like projected top 20. I think with his 40 and his testing, I think it's top 10. Safety from South Carolina, Nick Emenwari, dog, 6'3" safety. I think he ran like a 4.38.
Hmm.
They compared him to Derwin, faster,
Okay.
had like a 43-inch vert. So, I mean, I think he's probably gonna take off on boards. Just having that type of prototype safety in the league is common now. And then I would say the one person I was kind of low on was Tez Johnson. I don't know if you've heard about it. He's like 150 pounds, but he ran like one of the slowest 40s for
Yeah, I saw that.
someone under. He's a gamer though, so like a lot of guys don't test well. So testing is all about technique and form. Some
True.
dudes just got game speed. Some dudes got they're just built for testing. Like it's nothing about it. Like you just nothing you can do. Like some dudes can just get up for a 40 and they can go run a 4.3. So
Hmm.
he was a baller at Oregon, and I think he'll be fine in the league. It'll probably drop him a little bit, but I think he'll be fine because he has the game speed and breakaway speed, so he'll be useful to somebody.
Yeah, I did see the headlines about him just not running as fast as, people expected him at that size. When you're that size, you got to bring something to the table. So
Yeah,
I get them being a little bit skeptical. But yeah, that's a good first at back. Gonna get back to doing it more often, maybe every couple of weeks. It's no reason to record every week.
yeah.
There's not that much going on. Before we get out of here, any shout outs?
Taylor Rooks, man. Hey, just keep doing you, shorty. She the
Plain and
one, man.
simple. Yeah,
Plain and simple.
I hear
Yeah, you might
you.
have to do like a compilation of just all my shout outs to Taylor Rooks. Just
No,
send it to her.
I've been saying I'm gonna do it. And now that we got time, we're not recording as much. I'm gonna find the
Yeah,
time to do it. We gotta make sure that she sees it because
get her
every
to the
week,
draft. We'll get her to the draft in August or something. I'll fly her out, so a
uh,
Velo or something.
you're gonna have to. I don't
She
know.
can
You
leave
guys,
Monday. Hey, look, she can leave Monday. Get her Thursday. She can leave Monday.
you're gonna have to hit a parlay to be able to afford to send her.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put that first team to 103
Out.
quarters. So first team to 103 quarters, probably pick like 16, put $2 on it. That'd be yeah.
Man. But yeah, good episode, and we will catch up probably in another 2 weeks. Sudden Chase Pod.
Yes, sir.